my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today we are taking a look at Season 3, Episode 5 of Lost in Space, Stuck. Now, this episode is what you'd call a world-building episode, a character development episode. Nothing super plot-rich, super adrenaline-pumping happens in this episode. This is an episode that we've seen before on Lost in Space, and it's an episode where the members of the family work out their issues. Primarily, those are the main storylines. And the Lost in Space, the writers, they're good at this. They weave these into the plot, and they're very true to life. The Lost in Space writers human very well. And this episode is just solid. It's a good episode. It has tension. In of itself, it's a good episode, but it really shines on that sub-level that you don't really see on the surface. This episode is a brilliant episode when you take into effect that it's connecting all the episodes of Season 2 to the rest of the episodes of Season 3. Now remember, Season 3 was originally supposed to be 10 episodes. We got 2 episodes cut short because of the restrictions associated with when it was made. And that really affected the very first episode and the last couple of episodes. But this episode, Episode 5, Stuck, doesn't seem to be affected at all. It's solidly written. It builds up many of the things that were supposed to have been more fully developed in those last 2 episodes that we didn't get. And it has some interesting plot twists that don't make any sense in the episode, but will make sense later. It is just a really solidly well-written episode. It's the connective tissue of the series, the things that hold things together. This is one of those critical episodes that doesn't really stick out in your brain, but after you go back, when you see that when the plot twist happens, this is the kind of episode that makes a plot twist logical. So that was the end of the spoiler-free review. I'm about to get into spoilers. If you don't want to hear any spoilers, you can click the link below the video to go check out my book, Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data, or Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote, available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Google Play, and of course, signed copies available by the author. If you want to, please leave a rating or a review. More ratings means more money, and the more time I have to spend producing content like this. All right, Lost in Space, Stuck. Again, like I said in the spoiler-free section, this episode is connective tissue. Nothing super intense happens here. I mean, Robot has been stuck and pinned by the bar, and they have to race to free him before the robots show up, and John and Penny get a chance to shine in the action, which is unusual, and Maureen and Judy get a chance to shine emotionally, which is unusual. So it's kind of a turning of the tables. This is, in a way, a mirror image of the scene in Season 2 where the Jupiter was stuck on the ring in the methane planet. So you have your 3 main storylines. 4 main storylines. The entire cast kind of basically pairs off. You have John and Penny trying to rescue Robot from the trapped Fortuna. You have Debbie and Don West out. Well, Don West is trying to catch Debbie. It's a funny running gag that you think is just going to be the comedic relief for the episode until it's not, and you get that plot twist. You have Will and Dr. Smith, with Dr. Smith basically hanging out around Will because she's not going to just leave him. And in this Will and Dr. Smith arc, you get probably the most contrived scene of the series. And I'll give this to them. This would have been a hard one to make it look like it wasn't contrived. Basically, they had to keep Will trapped in one place until Robot could come to him, and that wasn't going to happen without a certain set of circumstances. But I think they could have set up these circumstances a little bit better. I'm thinking that this was actually the one place that this episode was touched by the restrictions, and they couldn't afford a better setup for Will to be trapped in the place. It just looked a little bit it pulled me out of the story at the time, which this show usually doesn't do, but I was just kind of chuckling. And it's like you look at the writers and you say, yeah, I see what you did there. And you look at the props master and said, yeah, I see the restrictions you were under. You were probably broke at this time and this was the best you could manage. But Will's trapped in one place until Robot's there to save the day. Then you have the most interesting emotional interaction where you have Judy working through what are essentially just oldest daughter issues. You're the oldest child. You're the one who dramatically changed your parents' life. Even if your parents are completely 100% okay with that and planned it, there's always that kind of burden of the knowledge that everything changed for your parents when you came along. And that really starts to sink in as you start to mature and face having a family of your own. And of course, you had the plot element where Judy was facing more than that. And she confronts her mom about this. She doesn't mean to, but Judy, for once, loses control of her emotions. And this comes out. And again, these writers, they human very well. When they have a super responsible, conscientious oldest daughter confront her parents, she confronts them the way a girl like that would confront them. Logically, with her teeth gritted and her tears slipping out between tight eyelids. It is a really touching moment. It's well written. Now, the emotions are well written. The characters is well written. We get to see Penny trying to be as supportive as she can for her father and doing what she can to help. And more on that later. All the characters are in character. But, and I don't even know if this is a but, and this is a Lost in Space show. And sometimes this show, just every few episodes, it decides to lean into the camp, to forget that forget that it was made in 2020 with full-blown CGI technology and in a very serious, gritty decade, and it embraces the fact that this is the Danger Will Robinson show. This is a cheesy, campy 60s franchise, and just run with it. And so you have jet ejector seats that have never shown up before. The ejector seats were mentioned before in the very first or second episode. So I can't say they were never mentioned before, but this is the first time the Robinsons have decided to use them. There's giant, cheesy CGI monsters that jump up out of nowhere and just start eating things. And you've got the comedic effect of Don West chasing a chicken around the swamp planet. The action is a little cheesy in this episode. But again, the relationships are great. Now, the reason I said that I think this was an episode that didn't change was because it was really building up Penny's ability to communicate. She's talking with her dad. She recognizes, now she has the emotional maturity too, she recognizes that her dad is frightened and he's stressed, and so she tries to keep him calm. She does this by communicating, by using her words, by being descriptive, by talking about him with something that deeply matters to him and matters enough to him to distract him from the danger of the situation. Then she communicates with Robot and allows them to fulfill their goals by not just talking to Robot, but listening to Robot, by paying attention to how he responds. Something which is real character growth for Penny, because that's not something she was doing in season 1 and season 2, at least not on this level. She was not just talking to Robot, she was paying attention to his answers, and that allows him to save the day. And I think this was building towards how her character arc was supposed to conclude, but it didn't because budget constraints, and I'm still salty about that, and I will continue to whinge and whine about that, because after all, what do you come here to hear me do except whinge and whine about what I don't like about shows? I mean, also enthused about what I do like, but you get the idea. So then we have Will's arc is mainly just action. And again, it's kind of cringy, kind of campy, kind of very much Lost in Space. So that's my 2 cents on season 5. Some excellent emotional and character development for the characters, some halfway decent action, some excellent plot devices. This is just a well-written episode that I think in summary, the Teal'c version of it is this. The writers knew that nothing super exciting was going to happen in this episode. They knew that this was going to be a connective tissue episode. Important plot points were going to be established. It would rely heavily for its wholeness, it was going to rely heavily on the previous seasons and the upcoming episodes. So I think they decided just to lean into the camp and makes the action as cheesy as possible. And it really works. It's just a solid, enjoyable episode. So that's my 2 cents. What do you think? Leave a comment below the video. How do you think the writers or prop masters could have done Will's situation to be slightly less 60s cringe? So leave your comments in the comment. Leave your answers in the comments below. Go check out my books. Humans Are Weird. I have the data, and Humans Are Weird. We took a vote. And peace out, my wonderful viewers. Humans Are Weird. We took a vote, and Humans Are Weird. I have the data. 2 books in a series of human absurdity. Go check out these short story collections. What will our little green friends think of us when we finally do make it to space? Find out the answer in 2 books of human absurdity. Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote, and Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Google Play.